Hey everybody, it's GoblinoX and welcome back to some more Magic Green. Today I'll be playing another Chromatic Cube draft, and let's just get into it. As always in pack 1, several incredibly powerful options of where to go. I'm probably going to go with Fable of the Mirror Breaker here. This is an incredibly powerful card that is making waves in constructed formats right now. You're spitting out a 2/2 Goblin, discarding 2, drawing 2, and then you're also getting another 2/2. That one allows you to copy your non-legendary creatures and give them haste, and then you have to sacrifice them at the beginning of the end step. So that is very good with any creatures with like enter the battlefield effects. And yeah, just a super powerful card. Happy to try to play the Fable the Mirror Breaker here. I also really like Noxious Gearhulk being a big menace threat that also seconds as a removal spell. Those are probably my top 2 cards out of that pack. For pick 2, what do we have going on in here? Nothing that personally interests me a ton. Of course, this is a pack full of very powerful cards, so that might be a little strange to say. But I guess there's like Memory Deluge, which is great instant speed card draw. Teferi's a solid planeswalker, definitely very annoying to play against. There's Jonathan Harker, which is also a really fun card. You get to sit there drawing a card and then exiling a card underneath Jonathan. And if you ever get to pay the 6 mana to flip this card, you get to start casting all the cards you exiled for free, as well as exiling more of them. So pretty powerful in the late game, especially in this cube that is just full of some very high mana cost stuff. So I might just go with like Jonathan Harker here, see if we can get that kind of deck going. Cavalier Flame is a pretty strong card in red that would stick to our color with Fable the Mirror Breaker. It's probably the best red pick out of this pack. If we just wanted to stick to the Fable. Other than that, nothing else massively exciting to me. Jonathan Harker, Cavalier are the 2 choices. I'm going to go for Jonathan here. I guess it's technically Jacob Hawken, Inspector. All right, pack 1, pick 3, what do we have? We have Clone Crafter here, which has a solid enter the battlefield effect, duplicating a random creature from your opponent's library into your hand. So it's 2 mana for a 1/2 that draws a card, and it's guaranteed to be a creature card. So at worst, it's like a slightly better Spirited Companion, the 2 mana 1/1 that draws a card. It's really good if you can double up your enter the battlefield effects, maybe by cloning it with Reflection of Kiki Jiki, or with any of the blue-white flicker stuff. So Clone Crafter is pretty sweet here. Mirari's Wake is really strong in this cube too, though. Just being able to double your mana is quite good. There's a lot of X mana abilities, as well as just a lot of really expensive stuff. So Mirari's Wake's an interesting pick, even though it's completely off the rails from what we've taken so far. There's also Incubation Druid, 2 mana. Mana Dorks are phenomenal in this cube as well for your green-based 5-color decks. But again, our first 2 picks aren't really going down that path. I think I'm going to try the Clone Crafter here. Try to do something a lot different from what I've been doing this time around. I have been doing a solid amount of 5-color. Let's see if we can get some kind of flicker or enter the battlefield effect deck going here. The best 3 colors for that would be blue, white, and red, and one of the better cards in this pack is a really solid white card, Elspeth Conquers Death. Going to exile something an opponent controls with mana value 3 or greater, then make your opponent's spells cost 2 more to cast, and then return a creature planeswalker from your graveyard to the battlefield with an additional counter on it. So that can be pretty big, pretty powerful. We could also just take Sakama, just because we could maybe exile it under Jonathan Harker and play it for free. That seems like a rarity. That seems like it's a little magical Christmas land there. We'll take Elspeth Conquers Death here. Ooh, and now we see Farewell, a phenomenal control card. We're also just seeing tons of great multicolored lands. We could take Omnath here and get started into 4-color. Farewell seems really, really good in this cube. If you've seen any of my other draft videos, you'll have seen tons of just immense, insane board states. The fact that Farewell can just get rid of everything, just exile it all. The only thing it doesn't hit is planeswalkers, really. That just seems like such a really good like safety button. I'm going to take Farewell here, but we could definitely have taken Omnath and just started heading on that 5-color plan again. Ooh, all right. We get to do the flicker thing, teleportation circles in this pack. At the beginning of your end step, exile an artifact or creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control, allowing you to re-up all your enter the battlefield effects over and over and over again. And this cube is absolutely full of those enter the battlefield effects. So we could scoop up some mana fixing now because we are going 3 colors, so it would be helpful. Thriving Bluff and Spire Bluff Canal would both be great. Fae of Wishes is a pretty fun card because you get to pull anything out of your sideboard off of the Granted Adventure. 4 mana to just tutor your sideboard for whatever you need at the time. Yeah, I think it's probably just a land or Fae of Wishes. Meteor Golem's okay because it is good with flicker effects, but it is 7 mana, so it is very, very late game. And there are tons of just strong late game cards to choose from. I think I just want to take some mana fixing, and I think I'd rather take Thriving Bluff because this can be red, blue, or red, white, depending on what we need at the time. Inspiring Overseer is great when you can flicker it. If we wanted just a straight up powerful card, Lion Sash is really good. Exiling cards from graveyard becoming a really big creature that can also equip to something else to make that bigger. There's also Elspeth. But Elspeth's just like, I don't know, she's one of the weaker planeswalkers. I'm not a massive fan of Elspeth. We could also take the red-white duel. We could take the any color mana fixer with Fabled Passage. I'll go for Inspiring Overseer here. It's possible we just cut red and become white-blue, and then we're not that worried about mana fixing in just a 2-color deck. See how things progress. I mean, the only thing I'm like sure about is we're definitely white here, it looks like. Firesong and Sunspeaker's fun if you have a lot of burn spells, but probably don't. Raise the Alarm. Yeah, get a couple 1/1 tokens. Ayo the Dawn Sky's got a pretty solid body for the cost and a great death trigger. Baral's Expertise is also a pretty good card. More for like a tempo-y controlling kind of deck. I think I'd rather just have a big creature in here. Like Ayo the Dawn Sky. Ooh, Teferi's still in here. There's also Banishing Slash. Main deck artifact enchantment removal is pretty great. Actually, Whirler Rogue has a great enter the battlefield effect. It's going to be between Banishing Slash and Whirler Rogue for me. Teferi is just a card that annoys me so much I don't even like playing with it. Because it's one of those weird planeswalkers where it's like it has abilities at instant speed, so like it's so, I don't know, so annoying to play around with, in my opinion. I'm just going to take Whirler Rogue. Another abusable enter the battlefield effect, and now we can take Hallowed Respite. Looks like the blue-white flicker deck is wide open. So we just take a bunch of great enter the battlefield effects, stick to blue-white, and just start running through, just running around, riding the value train. Well, Karuga's got an enter the battlefield effect, and we could play it off of just blue mana. Really late Omnath. And really late Selvala. If you've seen my last draft, you'll see how explosive that card can be. I'm going to take Selvala here. I think it's more likely to get played than the Ultimatum. But both are not particularly likely. So what do we have now? Looks like no much of the battlefield effect stuff. This card is fun. This card is fun. Better Offer. So for 2 mana, you just get a random 1/1 version of anything in your opponent's deck. But there's so many creatures in this cube with like really good abilities that could be something very, very good. And if you just need a big creature, you can make like a 6/6 version of some random card from your opponent's deck later in the game. That card is so fun. I want to scoop that up here. I'm probably not supposed to. I'm probably supposed to take Faith's Fetters. For more interaction, because we need to keep our opponent's stuff under control in this cube. Even if we're getting a lot of value from our flicker effects, there's so many explosive things that can happen. You just really need the defenses if your deck isn't massively explosive itself. So I'm going to take Faith's Fetters here, but I would really like to wheel the Better Offer. That seems like a really fun card. Maybe not a particularly good one, but certainly a card that will be enjoyable. Suspicious Stowaway is nice because there's not a lot of super playable cheap cards like 2 mana cards, and Suspicious Stowaway definitely fits the bill. That being said, Starnheim Unleashed is a massive win condition. If you can cast this later in the game when you have 8 or 9 mana and you've foretold this, it's usually, well, I don't know about in Chromatic Cube, but every other time I've cast this card, it's pretty much always won. Chromatic Cube is so explosive, though, that you never know. But it probably wins the vast majority of the time that you get like 3 or 4 angels out of it, which is a lot of mana, but it's super strong. It's 9 mana to get 3 angels, I think. Ooh, Banishing Light. No! Not the best card in the cube. Can't give me the best card in the cube in a pack alongside Banishing Light and Sublime Epiphany. We have to just slam down Lutri here, or Lutri. But both Sublime Epiphany and Banishing Light would be great in our deck. Banishing Light is solid, cheap removal to interact with our opponent's board, keep them from doing anything insane. Sublime Epiphany is very expensive, but it's going to interact with our opponent, and also it'll double up one of our creatures and draw a card and return a permanent to hand. The doubling up a creature and returning a permanent to hand are really good in a flicker deck, because you could even just bounce your own card if you really want, and obviously you're getting the enter the battlefield effect of whatever creature you clone. But Lutri is literally the best card in the cube, in my opinion, because it gives you a companion or just an 8th card in hand basically every game at literally no cost, because the companion cost of this, of having each non-land card in your starting deck having a different name, is always going to happen in cube draft, because there's only one of every card in the cube. You can't draft duplicates, so it's got to just be Lutri, because we are a blue deck, so we can cast this off of double blue and 1. Just objectively the best card we could possibly open up. We have to take it over literally anything else, I think. It's the only thing that is a 100% guaranteed play. Future Spell Thief is interesting. It's a good enter the battlefield effect, but I don't think it's great to flicker unless you can flicker at instant speed, because there's not always going to be spells on the stack. So I'll probably just take Icing Death here, honestly. Just a big, solid flyer. Oh, Soul Herder, that is the one. That is the second copy of Teleportation Circle, basically. Very, very, very good for this deck. At the beginning of your end step, exile a creature you control and return it to the battlefield, and every time you do that, you're getting a +1/+1 counter on Soul Herder. Absolutely beautiful for us. Really, really like that. Esper Sentinel's fun, and would be pretty good, because it gives us something to do early game for just 1 mana, and then every time our opponent plays a Mana Rock or a draw spell, any non-creature, they have to spend an extra mana or give us a card draw. So Esper Sentinel is a pretty solid card that I would take if Soul Herder weren't here, and if neither of those were here, I would just take Restoration of a Ganju, which is also good. But Soul Herder is a slam dunk there. Ooh, this will be an obnoxious enter the battlefield effect to abuse. It's Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa, world champion. Yeah, he's going to enter the battlefield and attacks one of our opponent's spells of our choice. We make one of their spells cost 2 more to cast, so this can be really, really good if we get it early game. If we're on the play and we get this on turn 3 before they have their 3rd mana, and then we make their 3 mana Mana Rock cost more, or their 3 mana Cultivate or something like that cost more, that puts them way behind. And even if we get it later in the game, just making their big 7 mana win condition more expensive to keep us alive a little longer is also quite good. Sadness on the stack. We're not a Field of the Dead deck today. Whoever is going to be so happy when they get that pick 8. Wait, literally everyone in this draft pod has seen this Field of the Dead except for the person to our right, which means maybe no one is in the 5-color field deck, or somebody's going to get the luckiest wheel in the universe. I think we're taking the Charming Prince here. It's another card that can abuse enter the battlefield effects, because we can flicker this to get some scries or gain life out of it, and when this enters the battlefield, we get to flicker something else. So very flexible enter the battlefield card as well there. It's an easy Angel of Sanctions. It's the only on-color card, and it's a solid one. Oblivion Ring on a stick. Exile something until that dies. Kiora can technically get played in our deck because she's just 2 and a blue, but I don't think we have a lot of creatures to draw cards off of with her. She does ramp up a little, which is nice. Ramping from 3 to 5 is good. We have a lot of 5s. I'm not in love with Triskaidekaphile in this deck.
And you look like lunch.
So I'll speculate on the Kiora there. Lithoform Engine always looks way too dirtly and chunky for me, but the cube is kind of dirtily. And we are going to be doing a lot of triggered abilities. I'm taking Lithoform Engine over Suspicious Stowaway. I just want to try it out. It looks fun. It's probably too slow, but we'll find out today. All this is not getting played. We would have been absolutely just... Whoever's in 5 color is getting the hookup, and if nobody's in 5 color, then I'm very disappointed with this draft pod. But I suppose I'm part of the problem here playing a blue-white deck. Illyrios Last Pick, actually a good card for the flicker deck, because you keep flickering this and getting extra 3/2s every time it enters the battlefield. Speaking of good cards for the flicker deck, we've got Elite Guard Mage here, which is going to gain us 3 life and draw a card whenever it enters the battlefield. We also have Brutal Cathar, which is solid interaction slapped onto a creature. We've wheeled like every blue-white flicker card, like Soul Herder and Hollowed Respite and stuff. So hopefully we can wheel Guard Mage and just take Brutal Cathar first, since it's monocolored. More people can play around with it. Scheming Fence could be interesting in this cube, but it's probably not a particularly high pick. I think we take Brutal Cathar, hope to wheel the Elite Guard Mage. That seems like the direction we go. Spark Double's really fun when your whole deck has good enter the battlefield effects, because it just becomes a bigger version of a creature that also gets a solid ETB when it comes in. Luminous Broodmoth also is very good with good enter the battlefield effects, though, because then when your non-flying creatures are dying, they're coming back to the board, triggering their enter the battlefield effect again, and also just becoming a flying threat. These are both really fun. Broodmoth or Spark Double, I think, are the two biggest picks here. Vizier would be fine. Little untapper, kind of mana ramp. I don't know. Between Broodmoth or Spark Double, I'm gonna go Broodmoth. It's a card that I've played less, so I would be interested in trying it some more. I am a 2-colored deck here, so I don't need mana fixing that badly. That being said, I feel like maybe I'm supposed to take mana fixing at some point, but I'm not going to do it right now, because while we do have Hengegate Pathway and Cold Steel Heart here, we also have Scholar of the Lost Trove, which is one of the biggest enter the battlefield effects in the whole cube. Casting an instant sorcery or artifact from your graveyard for free. This card is nuts, and I'm going to scoop that up. Now do we get to take the mana fixing, actually? It's Deserted Beach, Quasi-Duplicate. Don't love this. Sorcery Speed, it's just tokens. Yeah, you can do it twice, but I haven't loved Quasi-Duplicate. Kyodai. Kyodai is just like a straight up good card. It's not actually a good card to flicker, though, because once it leaves the battlefield, you no longer control it, so that one card will lose indestructible. Then when you get it back on the board, you give something else indestructible. That's like okay to flicker if you need to move the indestructibility, but you can't like abuse it. And I already have like a ton of 4 mana stuff, so I think I am fine to take mana fixing this time. Take the blue-white land. Ooh, Blade Splicer. No, don't be in the same pack as Elesh Norn. Well, Elesh Norn is super, super hard to beat. She does crumble under any targeted removal spell. They just play 1 Doomblade and she's gone. But she'll often kill some creatures when she comes into play. She makes your whole board really big. Blade Splicer is so easily abusable with that enter the battlefield effect, though. I'm going to take the Blade Splicer. Don't get mad at me. No Elesh Norn today. I'm sorry. Momentary Blink. Get in here. Get in here. We've made it. We have every blue-white blink card. Dream Eater's pretty good, too. Which 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Do you think we'll wheel a Momentary Blink with 2 cards in the pack? I don't have a lot of 6, 7 drop cards. I don't really need them if I'm abusing enough enter the battlefield effects. That can be our win con. I'm getting greedy. We're gonna wheel that, I promise. I believe we'll wheel the Momentary Blink. We'll see what happens. We might not. Luris is fine, even if it's not your companion. Lifelinker, 3 mana 3/2 lifelink. Maybe it recasts a spell or 2. This would be incredibly hard to build as your companion in this cube, because there's so few cheap permanents. But our deck's got some. Not a ton, probably not enough for Luris. Probably supposed to just take card draw instead. We have like 5 2 mana or less permanents. Wow, super late Ornithopter Paradise. I'll scoop that up. Even though I'm just a 2-color deck, this card is just great. Blue-white dual land. Scheming Fence could be fun, but I think I'm just... in for the mana fixing here. Everyone in this draft pot is probably just drafting some very fair 2-color, maybe 3-color decks based on how much mana fixing and stuff I'm seeing, and 5-color stuff running around. Yeah, I'm going to take the Thriving Land. Now we take a Vizier. We wield the Pathway. Let's go. I guess I should have realized that when I was deciding between the Pathway and the Scholar of the Lost Trove. That was the other thing to consider, is that with how late lands are generally going in this pack, we're probably going to wheel that land. We even wheeled Kyodai. Moment of truth. Did we wheel Momentary Blink? I would be mind blown if we wheeled Kyodai, but not Momentary Blink here. Got there. Got there. Hard read the draft pod. I knew exactly what was up. The third eye fully opened. We also got a last pick Niv Mizzet Reborn. The 5-color deck that could have been pick 7 Field of the Dead, last pick Niv Mizzet. Somebody took a Golos. We never saw Golos, but they didn't want Field of the Dead or Niv Mizzet. I mean, they definitely didn't want Niv Mizzet because that was last pick. Maybe they did want Field of the Dead. Maybe what happened is that somebody who got that pack with Field of the Dead got Field of the Dead and Golos in the pack, and they took Golos first and tried to wheel Field of the Dead, and then succeeded based on how pack 2 went. I don't know. I don't want to think about it too much because it makes me sad for the deck that could have been. The beautiful pile. Do we have any? We do have one Parallax card style to turn off. Get out of here. Okay. We get to cut 8 cards out of this. Oh, we have an Illyrio's card style. Get your disgusting 3D body out of here. Oh, I missed. There we go. Okay. We get to cut 8 cards now out of this pack. So, what do I want to cut? This is the question. 21 creatures, 10 non-creatures. Definitely cutting some of those. What are our weakest cards? I don't think I want to cut any 1s or 2s. Although if I do, like Jonathan Harker doesn't actually make a mountain of sense in this deck. It is just Merfolk Looter. I mean, Merfolk Looter being the worst case scenario, it's pretty good. Ornithopter of Paradise is probably pretty good here. It's like our only cheap mana ramp, that's fine. Got some 3s. I don't like 3 mana ramp nearly as much as I like 2 mana ramp. Because once you get to 3 mana, you have some actual plays you could just go for instead, like Soul Herder, Inspiring Overseer, Spellbinder, Blade Splicer, all of that kind of stuff. I don't want to cut any of those. Could cut Cura, because it's just another 3 mana ramp card. Not a lot of like abusable enter the battlefield effects at 4 mana. Just the Whirler Rogue there. You could see cutting some of those other 4 drops just because they don't synergize. Karuga does synergize. It's just a 5/4, which is not great. Yeah. Still at 20 creatures here. Just got too many. Mountains of creatures. Let's try and have Unleash just like our 1,000,000 mana win condition. Put that at the top of the curve. What does this do? It's sorcery speed, momentary blink. Yes. Yeah, it's a sorcery speed, momentary blink. It's not great, but I'm probably still going to play it. I think we have pretty much every single flicker card. So do we want to just cut literally everything that doesn't have an enter the battlefield effect? Like Icing Death. Kyodai does have an enter the battlefield, but it's not an abusable one. Ao the Dawn Sky. It's 3 cards that don't have enter the battlefields that we can abuse. Curve actually looks pretty cheap now. Generally. Lithoform engine does seem real slow. But I wanted to try it out here, but I have to make room to try it out, and that is hard to do. Okay, so if we cut those 3 creatures, we've got 17. I guess there's also like Brutal Cathar here, doesn't have a good enter the battlefield to abuse. Actually, with the amount of 3s we have, I might be more interested in cutting Brutal Cathar than one of those 4s or 5s. Put another 4-drop back in here, get the curve to look nice and just round. Much as I love interaction, I'll probably take Kyodai back in. Okay, there's the creature curve. I guess the thing we have to consider with the curve, though, is that, well, yeah, you want your curve to be kind of like this, generally. In Chromatic Cube, you can go for higher mana costs and stuff, but the point I'm trying to get at is that we have to consider everything that we want to play on turn 4 when we're considering that curve. So often I'll just disregard all of my non-creature cards, because most of the drafts I do aren't cube drafts, they're just regular drafts, where basically every non-creature card you have is a combat trick or a removal spell. That's pretty much it. And you're never casting those. Like, if you get 2 mana for your 2 mana removal spell, that doesn't mean you're just going to play it on turn 2. You're going to play it way later in the game, so it doesn't actually account into your curve. However, Teleportation Circle absolutely fits into the curve, because that is something we will jam out on turn 4 every single time. So we have to consider that up here. Be like, that's how we curve up. So you have cards like that. Definitely consider that into your curve. But that's why I always do the sorting creatures separately, because the curve of where your creatures land matters a lot more than where your non-creature spells land, mana-wise. Generally, in like a regular draft format. Because, yeah, Momentary Blink, we're never playing it turn 2. Hallowed Spite, never playing it turn 2. Chart, of course, maybe. But often not. Fate's Fetters, we're just playing it when we need it. Elspeth Conquers Death, we're playing it when we need it. I don't see myself tapping out to do nothing turn 4 very often. I really want to cut Lithoform Engine. Just instinctually, there's a part of me that's like, get this Lithoform Engine out of here. Because I'm just trying to think of like good situations for this, good positions for this, and they have to be where the game is going real long. Because it's super bad on turn 4, because you just play it and do nothing. Even if you wait until like turn 6 where you have the mana to use its ability, it still does literally nothing unless you have something else on the board making it better, like Soul Herder. Even turn 6, you spend 4 mana to play Lithoform Engine, go to your end step with Soul Herder, flicker something, and then you get to duplicate the ability. If you just have a bunch of cards with good enter the battlefield effects that have already hit the board, if you play this on turn 6, you're still spending 4 mana to do nothing until your next turn, because you're not going to copy an ability that just doesn't trigger. The only time that this does something the turn you play it is when you have at least 8 mana or another card working alongside it, like Soul Herder. If you have 8 mana, you get to play it and copy one of your permanents immediately. Not a big fan of cards like that don't give us immediate impact the turn we play them. It is huge advantage if it sticks around, duplicating things every single turn, but I mean, when you think about it, what is this actually doing in our deck? Most of the time, we're copying like an enter the battlefield effect, at which point it's just like a way worse version of Teleportation Circle. Because we have to keep spending 2 mana to do that every single turn. I guess we're copying our permanents too. Yeah, it's only 4 mana to copy permanents. I guess the plan with this card is that you spend 4 mana when your opponent's not like beating you up while they're still setting up, hopefully, and then next turn you just start copying your permanents every turn. Just one of your permanents. It's a powerful ability to use that on anything that costs 4 or more. I really don't know with this card. I really don't know. I guess I was probably just thinking too much about the first two abilities. The last ability does look pretty solid for the cost. I'm going to cut it anyway. I've got to cut something here. I'm going to go down to 40 cards here. Not going to go for another 42 card special or anything. And I'm going to cut that one. I don't know how well Esper Sentinel is going to play, but I suppose we'll find out today. Slowly changing my mind about playing a 42 card special because I don't know what to cut. Don't want to cut Ornithopter. Don't really want to cut Jonathan Harker either, but it doesn't like synergize at all. It's just lets us filter through our draws, lets us sift through our deck, get to the plays we want faster, getting rid of the plays that we don't want. Everything that is left in the deck is so solid. Just a deck full of solid blue-white flicker cards. Oh my god, I just realized. Remember that one pack where we had the blue and X spell that would make an XX copy of a random creature in your opponent's deck? We didn't wheel that card. Somebody else was trying to have fun. That's sad. I am the only one who has fun. Well, I want to cut at least one more card. 41 card special at worst. Cut some random creature, but none of these feel like a random creature at this point. They all feel great. I really like Kyodai to protect cards like Soul Herder. Because we do have some cards that are like super important. Like Soul Herder and Teleportation Circle, so giving one of those indestructible out of nowhere when they try to blow one up is really, really nice. Goodbye, Jonathan. I had to cut something. You're gone. Alright, here's a final look at the deck. This is going to be the poster child for your blue-white flicker decks. We have like all of the big synergies that you put into these kind of decks with Soul Herder, letting us re-up our enter the battlefield effects every turn. Teleportation Circle doing the same thing, just redoing our enter the battlefield effects every end step. Those are pretty phenomenal cards with any enter the battlefield decks or effects, and we've chalked the deck full of several to abuse. We can make 3/3s with Blade Splicer, gain life or scry off Charming Prince. Clone Crafter can keep pulling creatures out of our opponent's deck and into our hand. Gaining life, drawing cards off Overseer, making their hand cost more with Spellbinder, getting 3/2s with Illyrio's, you know the deal. Tons and tons of enter the battlefield effects. We're going to keep redoing them with those two cards being the best cards in our deck because they're just going to give us perpetual value. But there's also Momentary Blink and Hollowed Respite to do those flicker effects just like one time. Momentary Blink being the particularly powerful one because it is instant speed, so the first time you cast this, when you cast it for 1 and a white, you're often going to be like countering your opponent's removal spell and getting an enter the battlefield effect because you can just wait until your opponent tries to target one of your creatures with something. So Momentary Blink, super, super good for that. Hollowed Respite, not as good, because all you're doing is getting your Enter the Battlefield effect again. Maybe after playing the deck a little bit, I might cut Hollowed Respite to put Jacob back in, now that I think of it, because the effect being Sorcery Speed is a pretty big hamperance on its power level. But still, 2 extra Enter the Battlefield effects seems solid off the card. We'll see how it all plays out as we get into the gameplay. Alright, game 1, and we've got a turn 1 Esper Sentinel, so we'll see how that card works out for us. I'm just gonna go for it. Mana's looking excellent in this hand. So this will be interesting, because this was a card I'm a little unsure about. It's definitely really good and constructed, which makes me feel like it'll be solid in the cube, but I'm definitely not certain on it. Go for a Blade Splicer turn 3 here into a turn 4 Soul Herder or Teleportation Circle, depending on if we draw land or not. Really nice aggressive start here too, against an opponent playing tapped lands here. They're at least green, blue, and black. Green, blue, black, white. Definitely looks like a 5-color good stuff deck at this point. In my opinion, probably the strongest archetype in the cube. Definitely up there. It's the archetype I've gotten the best success with, a 7-win and a 5-win. Alright, we didn't hit a land, so Soul Herder it'll be. This doesn't do anything until my end step, so I might as well play it post-combat. Here it is. We just have to hope they don't have the Meat Hook Massacre or another kind of Wrath effect. If they don't, this might just be an aggressive enough curve. That's, we can just close things out right quick. They do have Explore here. They're going to let us draw the card because they're going to need their 3 mana to play some kind of removal to stay alive or some creature, I guess is the plan. Maze Mind Tome is the play. Do we have lethal on board? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We do not. We're getting very close though. None of these cards are going to add to our power immediately, so I'm just going to hold on to Kyodai to interact at instant speed with whatever they do to try to clear our board. Seems like our safest play. We could play Teleportation Circle instead and just get multiple 3/3s, but it feels safer to hold on to Kyodai here so that we can still have something on board even if they try to destroy everything or deal damage to everything. Now, if they do -X, or if they do exile, then it's still gone. All right, they're going to scoop them up. The deck is just not quick enough to run up against that aggressive start from our deck there. So pretty nice stuff for game 1. Yeah, I think their biggest out there that I could think of in the cube would have been Meat Hook Massacre if they had that in their deck. But there's also Farewell, as you can see from our deck. Burn Down the House, 2 red and 3 to deal 5 to everything. That's also in the cube as another Wrath effect. That one we could definitely beat them through, though, because of Kyodai's Indestructible. Actually, no, I don't think that would work against the damage, because we would have to put the Kyodai on the board to give the other thing Indestructible, and it would only keep Indestructible until Kyodai dies. So Kyodai would die, and we'd have an Indestructible creature that has 5 damage on it. The damage stays, so it would still have 5 damage on it when it loses Indestructible, and then it would die. So yeah, I guess Kyodai was only going to work if they had something that would destroy all creatures, like Crux of Fate, which is also in the cube. Destroy all non-dragons. Stop rambling here and get into our game 2. We're playing against green and white. Green, white, and blue, at least. Clone Crafter? Yeah, I like Clone Crafter and then Charming Prince and just double up the Clone Crafter. This will give us an insight into what's going on in our opponent's deck, because we'll get a random creature from their deck into our hand. Harmonious Archon it is. Just a white creature, so they might actually just be 3-color. Blue, white, green. And they're still on just blue, white, green so far. Ooh, Elite Spellbinder is a solid draw. I'd rather play that this turn than just go for another Clone Crafter trigger. We get all of the information of what's going on in their hand. So yep, looks like green, white, blue is the deck. They have a Howlpack Piper with no other creatures in hand, except for Captain Sisay, I guess. So that's fine. We don't need to make that cost more. Finale of Glory is really threatening. Tyvar's kind of whatever, I think. Need a lot of mana for this to be scary. We can make it so they need like infinite mana for it to be scary. Really need to hit more lands to deal with this Captain Sisay, otherwise this card's going to be incredibly threatening as well, drawing out their best legendary every turn. I think we have to choose Captain Sisay. That seems like the worst card for us if it goes uncontested. And they will get to play it off of Howlpack Piper here, but now at least they played it a turn later, which gives us more time to draw into the lands we need for Elspeth Conquers Death. Still only 3 mana right now. I kind of want to... Oh wait, they can't because it's an exile. They can't put Howlpack Piper. They can't put the Sisay out with the Piper. So actually, yeah, we don't have to worry about Captain Sisay for 2 more turns, even if they play Howlpack Piper, so we're doing fine. So what do we do here instead? I think I do still want to just scry 2 and hit lands right now, though. Which means we're not getting any value off of Charming Prince doing another ETB, but I really need lands, so... Well, there they are. I need a Plains, though. I need double white really badly for Elspeth Conquers Death. I think I actually get rid of... I think I need Plains bad enough that I get rid of both of these islands to dig for white sources. I think we have 11 white sources in the deck. Well, they top decked a Hullbreaker Horror to put into play with Howlpack Piper, so Howlpack Piper became the most important card to target. But we could not have anticipated that to be the immediate draw. If we were worried that they had just immediately drawn a big creature, I guess we could have flickered Spellbinder and exiled that again. Just stuck on the 2nd white mana still. This is rough. Do I scry again? Do I exile that God Eternal Ronus from their hand? I think I exile the Ronus from their hand. They could start bouncing all our stuff now, which is even more impactful when we're stuck on mana as we are. Part of that is self-inflicted. I could have kept an island here, but I don't think we're in that much better of a position with just another blue source. I think I can take 7 for now. And go for the Captain Sisay, which is going to be super bad. Bounce the Spellbinder. Deserted Beach is exactly what we're looking for. Now we're only 1 mana away from getting rid of the Hullbreaker Horror. But now we have a Captain Sisay we have to deal with. We don't have removal to deal with that, so that is going to overwhelm us playing the best card of their deck every turn. Play Spellbinder or Kyodai. That's about it. And just play Spellbinder again. Get damage in there in the sky. That is something. Fiend Artisan's another tutor effect that's pretty powerful. They can get a 1/1 elf every turn if they want. Let's make the finale more expensive. Okay, what did they do? Sorry, I looked away from remote. They cast a Tolsimir to fight one of our creatures and bounced another one. Yeah, we're not getting there here. We just stumbled on mana pretty hard. Could have put up a solid fight if we hit lands every single turn, and we hit the white source immediately. I guess if I kept the blue source, I would have had 4 mana turn 4 and then hit the white blue source right after that. But we couldn't have known that that was the exact sequence of lands we were going to hit, so I thought it was more important to get that double white. We had a lot of powerful double white stuff lying in wait. Some rough draws there, but 1/1 it'll be. Okay, this looks like pretty great mana. 3 mana to start off, turn 3 Blade Splicer, we hit 1 more land, we drop a teleportation circle the turn after that, which is a great way to start. We're also on the draw here, which makes it more likely we get to hit our lands. This looks excellent, and now we even have Paulo. The Elite Spellbinder. Cold Steel Heart is the first play from our opponents after Sparrow's Headquarters and Rootbound Crag, so probably another 5-color good stuff deck. Rough that we're on the draw here instead of on the play. I think we can punish these decks really well on the play, but on the draw here it's like they're already just... They have 4 mana already as soon as they play a land this turn. So we can't really like pull out their mana rocks from their hand or anything. They've already played them. Would I still be more interested in messing with their hand than getting a 3/3 right now though? I think I would be. I want to see what's going on in there and see if we can stop their setup well. Wow, Niv Mizzet Reborn, Urabrask, and a Braid. Did they do that on black? They did that on red, actually. So they have the double red for Urabrask. So I guess we get rid of Urabrask because they need to draw into a black source for Niv Mizzet. So they're already not casting Niv Mizzet next turn, and this way they're not casting Urabrask next turn either. Jet Mirror off the top it is. We were on the draw, so our Forsaken Crossroads enters untapped at least. So we can go for Teleportation Circle and make Niv Mizzet more expensive as well if we want to be annoying. Which I kind of want to. We have double blue, we have double white. It super matters here. I'm going to Teleportation Circle. And then they're going to Braid our Paulo, probably, because it's their only play left in hand. Even if they hit the black source. The Braid does not kill enchantments, only kills artifacts, so we don't have to worry about that. Alright, land off the top. Augur of Autumn is definitely putting in work. It's drawn them 2 cards already. Dig through those lands, draw to the non-lands. Courier's Briefcase is the play, which gives them the treasure token they need to cast Niv Mizzet next turn. And they will abrade Elite Spellbinder as imagined. So now we're just trying to survive till we hit 6 mana so we can farewell them really hard. We would like them to cast everything that we've exiled before we farewell though. And we need to play multiple creatures here to survive these attacks. Because we're at 11 here, they have 11 on board. So we need to just jam out creatures and kind of run into our own farewell. I think that's fine. Because we'll still have some powerful stuff afterwards. This gives us a lot of blockers too, which is really nice. And obviously when we farewell, we're going to choose to exile everything except enchantments so that we get to keep Teleportation Circle around. There's Niv Mizzet Reborn. Fingers crossed, not a lot drawn off of it. That's at least one card, a Ravager Worm. A Ravager Worm is the only draw off of it, alright. Still enough to fight our Ornithopter Paradise when it comes into play and get a big swing in with Niv Mizzet. So I am going to Elspeth Conquers Death here. On Niv Mizzet Reborn, and then hopefully they'll choose to have Ravager Worm fight our Blade Splicer, so we can't keep doing the Enter the Battlefield effect. Because we do need to keep Ornithopter Paradise around to afford our farewell if we don't draw another land. But again, we're going to be holding off on the farewell till they commit like their whole hand to the board, hopefully. Man, Augur of Autumn has Coven as well now, so they can just play things off the top. I don't think we can ever get them to having literal 0 cards in hand because of their powerful card draw engines of Augur Vadam and then Urabrask if they play it. We might have to just pop Farewell next turn. So Ravager Worms to play this turn. It's awkward. I was really hoping they play Urabrask because I really want Farewell to hit Urabrask because that is a card draw engine. I want to get rid of all their card draw engines at least before we Farewell. Even if they have 3 cards left in hand, if they have Augur and Urabrask on board, we can get rid of both. I'll be happy to. Oh, they're getting aggro here. We can just blow up Augur on them right now by trading. Very happy to do that. Double block Jetmir. Take 5. Start gaining life off Charming Prince. If I Farewell, I'm gonna get hit with haste for 4. Yeah, again, I think I'm holding off on Farewell. How big is this when it's not damaged? Just a 5/5? Yeah, we kill Jetmir. Down to 6. Oh, Inspiring Overseer is such a draw here. Okay. Yeah, now we're not even on the Farewell plan. We can probably just stabilize and take control of this board state. We can maybe stabilize and take control of this board state. Just really going off with all these flicker effects. Okay, they have 1 card in hand after they cast this Urabrask, which does leave me all kinds of tempted. We're just going to keep using Teleportation Circle on Overseer, so Charming Prince doesn't exactly do anything here, so we can get that free chump. Okay, well there's land for turn. Return something from grave. I guess we can check out what's in their hand. Oh, we can't return anything in their grave, just ours. So I think I like Elite Spellbinder. See what's in their hand. Just know exactly what we're up against. Just a mountain. So if I Farewell here, they have nothing in hand. We lose our Inspiring Overseer synergies, which is rough, but then we just establish a new board state while they have nothing. I think this is the time we pop it. Exile all creatures and artifacts. And graveyards now. We've played our 1 graveyard recursion spell. So they're playing off the top. Immediate Captain Sisay. That is getting Faith's Fetters. That will absolutely demolish us if we don't. And with our extra mana, throw our Lutri into our hand. Gilded Lotus is the next. That's just more mana. That's fine. Play Lutri and then Karuga, so we have more permanents to draw off of. So we draw 2 cards here for 2, 3 or more permanents. Oh, 3 cards. I don't know how I drew 3 cards. Oh, Faith's Fetters counts, even though it looks like it's on my opponent's board. It's technically on mine. Alright, and then Karuga just pops off, giving us a fresh new hand. Ooh, Clone Crafter is probably the play here. And we just start abusing Clone Crafter effects and playing our opponent's massive 5-color creatures against them. Soul Herder here to use on Clone Crafter. We're holding up a Chart a Course. Holding up a Momentary Blink, not a Chart a Course. Okay. Yep, now we are just abusing Clone Crafter. Because I don't want to mill out. So I don't actually want to Karuga too hard here. I could Karuga one more time. I'll Karuga one more time here. But then after this, I'm going to exclusively be blinking Clone Crafter. We've still got 11 cards in library. Get a Shigeki. Well, at least because of that, we know our opponent has a lot of just cheap little mana dorks that don't do too much that they could draw into. Because Shigeki, we've shut off Shigeki's channel ability by exiling their graveyard. Alright, and they drew into Domri, so that will close out the game. 2-1. It'll be big stuff from Farewell. Alright. Not a ton of lands in this hand, but our opponent is on the play, so we get the first draw. We also have Ornithopter Paradise to ramp a little bit. Esper Sentinel might draw us a card or two as well. So hopefully we can draw into the mana we need. And there's Illyrios, which, if nothing else, is going to be a solid turn 3 play. Even if we don't hit a land, we can cast it off of Ornithopter. That is a fancy Jetmir's Garden from our opponent. Very cool. And Ketria Triumph, alright. The absolute deluge of 5-color decks continues. The Kamigawa boards just got me thinking about rain. Llanowar Visionary, very solid ramp here. Draws them a card and ramps them up in mana. 3 mana now, we drop Illyrios. And pass. I don't see anything to do for 4 mana. I mean, we could double blink, but we're not blinking anything that has an enter the battlefield effect, so no purpose to that. I guess we could have Hollowed Respite on their Llanowar Visionary, but then they draw another card, but it would be tapped. Oh, no. God, Eternal Oketra. Every time they cast a creature, they get a 4/4 zombie token. That is very, 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 very bad. So again, we can Hollowed Respite to tap God Eternal Oketra, but then she still has her ability. I guess we just put Lutri in hand? I kind of prefer just Hollowed Respite to... Oh, it can't target legendaries. Alright, I prefer Hollowed Respite to kill their tokens. Just exile their tokens. Probably our game plan. Yeah, which means all we're doing here is putting Lutri in hand. And passing. Guess we could have held up Momentary Blink for Illyrios, get one more 3/2, but another 3/2 is not going to do anything against 3/6 double strike that, even if we cast removal on, goes back into their library third from the top. Ooh, we draw a card off Esper Sentinel. It has served its purpose. For 1 mana, we got a 1/1 and drew a card. Cheaper version of Spirited Companion. Alright, Vizier of the Menagerie is pretty uncool. I don't know who said they were allowed to play that. So their mana is just perfect for creatures as long as Vizier's on the board, and they can play creatures from the top of their library, which means it is another one of those very solid card draw engines. So we could Dream Eater at instant speed and bounce God Eternal Oketra so they don't get to get another token this turn. And then we could just keep flickering Dream Eater to keep bouncing so that God Eternal Oketra never remains. Probably the play. I'm going to do that right now. Ooh, Farewell. That is good against everything except God Eternal Oketra, because she survives even through exile. And Whirler Rogue is great with flickers. I think I'll keep Whirler Rogue, but definitely Farewell on top. Okay, so hopefully they don't have a 2-mana creature or a 3-mana creature to follow up Oketra with. Oh dear. Unnatural Growth. Yeah, that does double the power of everything on their board. Oh, and the 4/4s have vigilance too. Oh my god. We might have to farewell just immediately. And if we are going to use it anyway, we might as well just chump block here. Yeah, I don't love this, but what's our other option? If we don't farewell, we can Hollow despite the token. We only have 7 power. We can't kill this Vezier on blocks. I think it's okay to farewell immediately, because we have Scholar of the Lost Trove to recast it from grave if we really need to do it again later. And again, it's not going to do that much work against God Eternal Catcher. It'll slow her down a little bit. Not enough. Any instants or artifacts in grave? I could cast Charta Course off of Scholar. I don't think that's worth it. They don't have a graveyard, so we're not going to exile graveyards here. We're going to exile creatures, artifacts, enchantments. I don't think the artifact half really matters. Ornithopter's already getting exiled because it's a creature and our opponent controls no artifacts, so that's whatever. But yeah, definitely not graveyards. Cool. And then we pass. And then we're just on like Whirler Rogue Momentary Blink, so we just have a ton of chump blockers. We still have Scholar of the Lost Trove for another farewell later. Beanstalk Giant, the big boy. 7/7 and a 4/4 Vigilance thanks to God Eternal Oketra. We get the freebie block off of Momentary Blink because that card is nuts. Exile in response to our block because we were going to do that anyway. Get more tokens and take no damage. We will do the same this turn, but first let's just Hollow Despite that token and get that out of here. Could Hollow Despite 2 of their cards if I cast Lutri, but I would think I'd rather hold up the 4 mana for Momentary Blink to blink again. Yeah. Kill the 4/4. Send in with everybody in the sky. Block and Momentary Blink next turn. Or if they try to kill Whirler Rogue before we get to go to blocks, then we'll just blink when they try to kill it. And just chump. Ooh, I hope that is not blitzed. Gains them life though, that's pretty painful. Because we're just trying to outrace them with all these 1/1 flyers, and 3 life is a pretty big little cushion on their life total there. Alright, well 6 is less than 8, so we block the 8 and take 6. Still kind of desperately trying to outrace. We might have to, if we hit a land, just farewell after we hit them a bunch. That wouldn't be terrible here. We don't hit a land though, so we're going to need to just shove out a bunch of blockers. We can Hollow Despite to kill the 4/4 again. Then we only have 3 mana up, so we go Hollow Despite and Blade Splicers to play. Actually, you know what I think is pretty good here? If we go Hollow Despite and Lutri, because we Hollow Despite that 4/4 and copy it, and also Hollow Despite Whirler Rogue for more blockers. We're going to take some trample damage, but we can block everything else. So we should, at 14 life, I mean, we're going to get trampled over by the 5/3, but we're blocking like everything else. Yeah, this seems pretty good to me. And this kills them in 2 hits, right? 6 plus 8's 14. Sure is. If we keep these 1/1s around, if we get to just trump with Whirler Rogue and Lutri and survive, we have lethal on board too. And this, of course, also gives us the extra turn to get to the Scholar play. If they do something disastrous here, it doesn't give trample, does it? +7/+7. Wait, search your library and graveyard for a creature. Oh my god. God dang it. Yeah, it doesn't give any pluses yet, but it tutors for any creature and it grabs Elesh Norn, and that's not lethal. Actually, that's... Oh wait, no, it is lethal because double strike. God dang it. Oh, that was a close one. We would have killed them on the crackback if we just had to trump with 2 things. And if they put enough power on the board to where we had to block with more things, we'd still have the out of drawing a land to play Scholar into Farewell with 2 cards left in hand to their 1. But Finale of Devastation lives up to its name. A devastating blow there. Elesh Norn to just blow up our entire board. Tutored out of the deck. 2-2 it is. Game 5 now. We are on the draw again. We need to hit 1 land to get to Inspiring Overseer, but then that draws us another card, which could be another land. We're getting greedy. I'm going to foretell Starnheim Unleashed turn 2. And we're going to draw 1 land in the first 3 turns. Come on. A single land in 3 draw steps. Let's go. Uh-oh. Play against green-white. Rope Line Attendant is the play, so they could just be straight-up green-white tokens. We did hit the island turn 3, and I'm going to cast Inspiring Overseer over anything else because we do want to hit more lands. I don't know how I did that. Okay, here we go. So we want to draw more cards so that we're digging closer to the next land. Even if we don't draw it immediately. I don't have any ways to flicker my cards right now, and I have other good enter the battlefield effects to flicker later. Probably just preserve life total and actually take this trade. Finale of Glory. Get a couple 2/2s, and there is the land. Beautiful. 4 mana now. What do we want to do about the 2/2s? Should trade a 2/2 into one of them? Or just have a 3/3 out? Probably best to just have a 3/3 out. Doesn't even need the first strike. Starnheim Unleashed. 2 4/4 flyers now. Angel of Sanctions is very good against tokens. They're going to keep 1 4/4 Flying Vigilance around for now. But we could kind of just reverse curse here and just cast our own Starnheim Unleashed, and then we have 2 and they have 1. We have the 5 mana to get 2 angels out of it. There's the Blade Splash. It really is the mirror match, isn't it? And Paradise Druid? Now I'm considering just holding out for 1 land draw here and just not putting anything else on this board. Just put Lutri into hand and pass. It's probably greedy. I mean, we can't get hit that hard with our current board state. I'm gonna get greedy. If we hit an untapped land next turn, then just farewell, bop, goodbye. Farewell, and then I have 6 cards in hand, you've got none. Well, 1. They'll have 1 card in hand. We're gonna chump with Angel of Sanctions here to buy some time. If we don't draw land, we're gonna have to dump some cards out of our hand, be a little less greedy. But if we do draw land, then the greed was paid off. Ah, alright, well now we need to dump a bunch of stuff out. Oh. This is actually horrific. Angel Invention as the next play. Super bad, because that put 3 more creatures on the board and gave everything plus and plus 1. I was not expecting the Angel Invention when I got greedy. I don't have a way to get it off the board. I can only lock it down, which still gives everything plus and plus 1, which is not worth it. I think our biggest way to expand the board state is to Starnheim Unleashed. And we're just all in on chumps here. I mean, most of their creatures are pretty small. Oh my god. Angel of Sanctions off the top. Pretty great against our angels. We were supposed to reverse curse, but now they reverse cursed us. Dear Magic Arena, I am once again begging you. Basic land, let's go. Basic land, let's go. I don't think I can survive in a swing next turn, an all-out swing next turn, no matter what I play, if I don't hit a basic land here. Yeah, especially if they do this. Especially if they do this. I actually don't know if I can survive this turn. Maybe. Can I survive and kill Angel of Invention? I am pressing X to doubt. Take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. No. Can I survive at all? Block the 2 biggest cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wow. Well, Angel Invention into Angel of Sanctions gets us there, I guess. We died to our greed. If I committed more to the board, it would have given me another draw step, and I wish Magic Arena had the function where you can see what your next draw was. But if my next card was a land, then but just by having one more blocker on that board, could have blocked one of those 3/3s and been at 1 life and then cast Farewell the next turn. So if the next card in my deck was a land, then we would have won. Well, would have guaranteed one, but it would be really, really likely that we would win by farewelling the board. So our opponent has 1 card in hand. We'd still have like 3 or 4 in hand, even if I had put more stuff on the board. So yeah, I got too greedy there. Needed to just put more on the board. That being said, there's also no guarantee. If the next card wasn't a land, then we were going to lose that game, no matter how we played. And that's a possibility. You never know. You never know. But it was probably right to hedge our bets, because you're not guaranteed to draw anything. You shouldn't play in the way that's like, well, if I hit a land, this is going to be really, really good. You should probably go for the play that's like, this is going to be, it's going to keep me alive longer to give me more opportunities to draw the land, and that's where I failed there. I do think this deck was really good. I definitely didn't play it to its best, and we had some rough draws. We had one match where we had really, really bad mana draws, costing us the game, the no double white there, which is super rough, because I think I did well in building the mana base and drafting the mana base, because we do have we have 11 white sources and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blue sources, thanks to all our duels. So I think the mana base was really good, so it's a shame we got punished that hard in that one game. And then the last game, that was big misplay energy there. So I think that was the first and third loss that it could have been differently. And then the loss in the middle, the second loss, I think that was just a really close, really fair game of Magic. That one was really cool. But yeah, overall, I really like this deck. I think it is an absolute shame that I went 2 and 3 with it. If I played better, we could have definitely won that last match if we had a land on top. And who knows where we could have gone from there. We don't know what other decks we'd have been paired against. Maybe we could have ran up into a really high win rate run. I think this deck, again, I think this deck's really good. I think this deck is a lot better than it performed. A 2 and 3-1 is incredibly disappointing for this deck. Because all the games that we won and even the games that we lost, except for the first loss. I feel like the deck performed really well, and yeah, I was a big fan of it. So yeah, a bit of a bummer of a Chromatic Cube run today. Still think the drafting process was solid, the deck build was solid, but didn't get there at the end in the gameplay. Definitely happens. 2 and 3, it'll be this time around. We'll check out our random rare rewards. Get a mythic rare this time around, the Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. Very cool card from Kaldheim. I wish they brought back Kaldheim and Amonkhet drafts more often. I don't think they brought them back a single time. I think they just did them on release, but they were cool formats. Actually, no, they did bring them back once and gave everybody a free draft. That was a great time. That was last year during September-ish, I think. I think it was last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. But I don't know, it's been a long time since we've drafted these formats, and I'd love for them to bring them back again. But anyways, let's stop rambling here. Let's get to the end of the video so you can all get on with your lives. That is going to end today's video. If you want to see some more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That'll let the YouTube algorithm know to send some more of these videos to yourself and others. And once again, as always, I would like to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.